Let's have a look at some of the probabilities behind this game of chance, because it's not just a game of randomly guessing higher or lower. There are some strategies you can use to help you to determine whether the cards are more likely to be higher or more likely to be lower. We're going to use the cards Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to help us in our calculations. I'm going to shuffle them up and we're ready to go. I've also made this handy table to help us with our probability calculations. So we get to see the first card before we have to make any guesses. The first card is a 5 of clubs. So now we need to guess whether we think the next card is higher or lower. Let's have a look at our probabilities. Card number 2, this card here, do we think the second card will be higher than the 5 of clubs or lower than the 5 of clubs? Well, the probability that it's higher, how many favourable outcomes are there? Higher than a 5. It's just a 6, which is 1. So it's 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 cards left over, which means there's a 1 in 5 chance that our next card is higher. And so the chance that our next card is lower, well, if one of these cards has to be higher, the other 4 will all be lower than the 5, Ace, 2, 3, and 4. These 2 events are what we call complementary events, because, and we'll talk a little bit more about them later, but basically what it means is the probability that the card is higher and the probability that the card is lower, they have to add up to 1. 1/5 plus 4/5. The card can either be higher or lower. There's no other options, so they are complementary events. Having a look at our probabilities, 1/5, 4/5, I'm going to go ahead and guess that the next card is probably lower than the 5. Let's turn it over and have a look. We have a 2 of clubs, so we were correct. Looking at this 2 of clubs, we can make a prediction about whether we think the next card will be higher or lower. Card number 3. Well, let's have a look at our probability that it's higher. How many favourable outcomes are there, or how many cards left are higher than 2? We've got 3 to 4, not 5, but we've got 6 as well. So 3 of these cards are higher than 2. But it's not out of 5 cards anymore, there are only 4 cards left. So it's 3 out of 4. Which means if 3 of these cards are higher, one of them has to be lower. Our ace is still in here somewhere. So there's a 1 in 4 chance that the next card is going to be lower. So let's make a guess that the next card is higher. There's a higher probability, that's a 75% chance that the next card is higher. It's reasonably good. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the Ace of Clubs. That card is lower. So even though it was more likely for us to get a higher card, it was still possible for us to get a card which was lower. So even though our probabilities can give us a good idea of what was probably coming next, they can't tell us for certain. There is still a little bit of chance in here as we make our estimates. So we weren't right on this one, we guessed incorrectly, even though there was a high chance that we would get it right. There's a 25% chance of getting that ace. We did get it, and sometimes we do get those outcomes that are less likely to happen. Let's have a look at our next one. What's the probability that this 4 is higher than an ace? Well, ace is our lowest card. So every other card has to be higher, which means all 3 of these cards have to be higher than our ace. There is a 100% chance of getting a higher card. We can write that as 1. The chance of getting a higher card is 1. What's the chance of us getting a lower card? Well, that's impossible. There's nothing lower than an ace in here, so that is a 0. Which means I can be completely certain that my next card is higher than an ace. And it is, it's a 4. Okay, let's look at our probability of the 5th card. Will the 5th card be higher or lower than a 4? Let's have a think. How many of these outcomes are higher than 4s? We've got the ace, the 2, and the 5. So the only card that's higher is a 6, which is 1 card out of 2 left over. And the card that could be lower, we haven't got our 3 yet, so there's a 3 in here. One of these is a 6 and one of them is a 3. So there's also a 1 in 2 chance that the card could be lower. I don't know which one to pick here because we have an equal probability of each outcome. So why don't you make a guess and see if you get it right. The next card is the 6 of clubs. It's higher. The next card was higher. We had a 50-50 chance. We had no way of knowing which one was coming next. And it was the 6 of clubs. So for our final card, card number 6, will it be higher or will it be lower? Well, we've drawn the ace, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 6. 6 is our highest card, so the next one has to be lower. It has to be that leftover 3. Impossible for us to have a higher card, which means I am 100% certain that that card is a 3 and it's lower than the 6. And there we have it. Are you ready to have another go at this game now that you know about calculating probabilities? See if it can help you to do better at guessing whether the next card will be higher or lower. But remember, even though you calculate a probability, like we did here, we calculated 3 in 4 chance it would be higher, sometimes we get it wrong.